Are you able to see the slide? Okay. So we are moving to next topic, fancy yarn. Fancy yarn is basically, which is just opposite to the normal yarn. In the normal yarn, we try to take all precautions to have very uniform yarn. Whereas here, we purposefully try to produce a distinctive irregular profile. So either in the single yarn stage or during plying, this is generally not accepted by regular customers. So here the main focus is you try to create a fabric which have very fashion touch. So we create a separate effect like visual textural properties, which is not normally we are able to get from the regular yarns. So should have very distinctive irregular profile. So how you create that one, that depends on the method technology you're employing. So this is a very small market, but it has very high premium. So what is new today may not be new. That's the problem with the technology. If you invest heavily to make a particular fancy yarn, and that fancy yarn may become a regular yarn. Okay, regular yarn in the sense appearance not regular, but the look is regular to the people. So they want again different things. So one has to invest some of the patent technology. One has to invest heavily. But there are some people are making with low technology. They're able to make fancy yarns. So coming to the market, there are significant markets are there for the fancy yarns. One is the ladies' outerwear and children's knitwear, mostly hand knitted, especially in India. And a lot of things are exported also. Then coming to the furnishing fabrics, fancy curtains, blinds, wall covering, and upholstery. They're all made from the fancy yarns. The other small markets are there for the ties, men's tie, men's jacket, knitwear. They're also very small proportion. So most of the markets are to the ladies and children's, especially knitwears. And next group is the furnishing fabrics like curtains, blinds, wall coverings, upholstery. Very small market for the men's wear. These are some of the, you can see how a fancy the yarn looks like. These names are patented names. Some companies have developed and they got the trademark. So you can see yourself how they are different from the regular yarn. The regular yarn, we take all sort of pains to make the yarn more even, more uniform. Here you try to make a yarn which is uneven. So this is now inconsistent appearance, but once you make the yarn, and more or less same thing you have to make. Okay, so your technology has to be consistent in making this inconsistent apparent yarn. So we'll take up only a few yarns because there are n number of yarns are coming in the market. Each one develop their own technology, and they give different names. Someone gives snake yarn. Okay. Someone gives snow effect yarn. There are so many names are there. Okay. So it is not possible to cover each and everything, but nevertheless we try to see what is the some of the yarn which are regularly used, and how they are making the yarn and how they are making the effect, the fancy effect. So coming to the very first yarn, buckle yarn. So the process is like this: you have a core yarn, the other name is ground yarn, and there is a effect yarn, maybe only one yarn, maybe two yarns. They are fed at different rate. Basically, they are fed at different rate. So the one fed at low rate will be coming to the core, and one is fed at higher rate is try to go to the surface, and depends on the yarn stiffness and the twist. They try to form buckle or snell or loop or a different appearance. So once you feed these yarns at different rates, then you do the plying. Plying means doubling and twisting, and you wind it. So these effect yarns may which is forming different structures on the surface. They may be sliding, okay? So they have to be trapped. For that, in the next stage, what they do is they reverse twist this ply yarn, which is already have a fancy appearance, but you want to lock that appearance by passing another binding filament yarn. So first stage is ground yarn and effect yarn are fed different rate. Ground yarn is fed at low rate, effect yarn is fed at higher rate. It is ply twisted. And the next stage, this ply twisted yarn, which is having core and effect components, are combined with a binding filament yarn, okay, which during this second plying operation with the binding filament yarn, they are reverse twisted. See the how the buckle yarns look like. The one at the center, is the core yarn. The one which is fed at a higher rate. Here it looks like the ground and effect they are fed at least 1:3, 1:4. The ground is fed at 1 meter per minute means the effect is fed at probably 4 meters per minute, 4 times. So what happened in a given yarn length, they try to occupy this configuration. Unless it is tied by the binder yarn, there is a binder yarn. What happened? This the buckle may move left and right. So we want to arrest the movement of the effect, which is in a buckled form. So for that, in the second operation, this yarn is plied with the binder filament yarn. So that will lock the position of the effect yarn, which is in a buckled configuration. So the process is so here you see the ground yarn. So the ground yarn is fed by the rollers G, okay? So ground yarn, they are fed at slower speed and it comes here and it is not gripped by the rollers E, okay? So when this yarn comes here, there is a groove is made on the roller and this is ground yarn is passing through the groove of the roller so that the yarn is controlled by the speed of the rollers G. So they are coming at low speed and they occupy straight configuration. Whereas the effect yarn is fed by the front rollers, by the nip of the front rollers. Okay, so the ground yarn is passing through the groove of the front rollers, whereas the effect yarn is passing through the nip of the front rollers. So the roller E rotates very high speed compared to the rollers G. Okay, and the effect yarn will form like this. Okay, in the next stage, you take this yarn, and next stage you bind it with a another filament yarn that is called the binder yarn. And that can be, for example, if you are giving S twist during the next operation, when you are combining this core and effect with the binder yarn, okay, the playing is done in the opposite direction. So in that case, what happened? The twist will originally present in the core yarn, it will be coming down. Next is the spiral yarn. So before going to fire spiral yarn, you can see how the fire spiral yarn looks like. So there is a woolen yarn, very coarse, and there is a cotton yarn. Cotton yarn is very fine. When you see they are too fine. Woolen yarn is very too coarse. You can see by the size of the yarn. So the woolen yarn is basically the core yarn, and which is very coarse, and the cotton yarn is the effect yarn, which is very fine. Now how they are doing it? So the very coarser Z-twisted woolen yarn is fed at higher rate. Here actually it is fed at higher rate. Okay. And the cotton yarn is S-twisted, opposite twisted. You can have different colors also to bring the color effect, not necessarily dyed dark color. Usually dark color, maybe black or any color, primary color. So the effect yarn is it's not effect yarn. You can say the finer cotton yarn. So this is also fed under twisting zone. So they are all played in the S direction. So while doing what happened, while playing in the S direction, what happened? The twist in the play twist is nearly 1/4 of the single twist, the Z twist. So what happened? So when you're doing the playing in the S direction, the twist in the coarse woolen yarn, okay, which is already fed at a little higher rate, so it tries to open up. It tried to open up. And the S-twisted cotton yarn, it is fed at low rate, it tried to compress. So the cotton yarn is tried to compress because the twist is increasing. Okay. And the core yarn, the woolen yarn is opposite twisted. It tries to open up. So the woolen component opens up due to opposite twist. And the cotton yarn compresses the woolen yarn, giving spiral effect. For example, the delivery of play yarn is 100 meters per minute. Cotton yarn is fed at 100 meters per minute, and the woolen yarn is fed at more than maybe 200, 300 meters per minute. So the woolen yarn, because it is very heavy, he cannot now form a very wavy configuration because we are feeding more, the woolen yarn, and the cotton yarn is going to bind, and then the woolen yarn in this portion will try to open up. When it try to open up, what happened? It became very soft, and the cotton yarn is again twisted in the same direction. So what happened? This component in between the cotton yarn, this is trying to open up, and is very soft and easy for the cotton yarn to bind. So they try to compress. So the cotton yarn twist is increasing while playing. Initially the cotton yarn is S twist, then again you are giving S twist. Whereas woolen yarn is having Z twist. During playing we are doing in the S twist. So basically, so the woolen yarn, because of its size and the twist is being opened up, so it cannot occupy a very wavy configuration because it is heavy. It will try to be in the center, and the twist is being reduced, and it became very bulky and loose, so that cotton yarn do the job of compressing it and creating a spiral effect. So next is a GIMP yarn, and you can see the GIMP yarn has 3 components. So one component is the core, which may have 1 yarn or 2 yarns, which is usually acrylic, because they are all going knitted fabrics. They're mostly they're used for acrylic and woolen worsted. So 1 or 2 core yarns, acrylics, directly fed into the front roller machine, and 1 or more effect yarns, which is acrylic or wool. For low cost purpose they use acrylic, and for the high value added product they use woolen and worsted slaver. So these effect components they're all basically sliver, and they are drafted separately. Each, the effect component is done. The drafting is done separately. You have two drafting system. One is exclusively drafting one effect component. The other one is drafting the second effect component. So they are fed finally after drafting. What happened? They are fed at 122 200% overfeed to the system. And third yarn, a binder yarn, they are coming from a hollow spindle that is in a filament or worsted. Filament is cheaper. If you go for worsted, it is costly. So it depends on the economy they use it. So upon twisting, what happens? The binder occupies the shortest path length, and that increases from core to effect component. You see the GIMP yarn. So this is a binding yarn which is fed at low rate. So they try to become a core, but not exactly a core. It's a wavy form because they are very fine. No? The other yarns are very heavy. Okay, so they this yarn doesn't have enough tension to become a straight configuration. So you see the core yarn among these two, core yarn is having less overfeed. So the path length of the core yarn is less, whereas the path length of the effect yarn is more. So because of the binding yarn only, the structure is stable. If the binding yarn is not there, what happens? When you apply a load, the fancy effect may not be there. So whatever the appearance we get, we want to lock the appearance. So for that only binding yarn. In most of the cases, we use binding yarn to lock the structure. So we see the core and effect both are Z twisted, and during playing they do S twist, so that this is both gets opened up. It gives a little softness. At the same time, with that buckled the GIMP configuration, making it soft, and finally we are binding it. So this is the process of making the GIMP yarn. You see the core yarn is coming from this roller. It is fed at a particular tension, and finally it is passing through this feed roller at a particular speed. Okay, probably it will be passing through a groove so that the speed is controlled by this roller. And you have two drafting systems. The first drafting system, the apron drafting system. So the effect sliver rowing is fed, it is drafted, and finally fed to the front roller. And another drafting system where the another effect yarn, okay, that is fed and that is drafted and fed to the front roller. So these all three yarns are coming here, and there is a hollow spindle. The hollow spindle rotates. On the hollow spindle, there is a package. On the package, you have the filament yarn. So the filament yarn is basically binder, and it will bind, and finally, the delivered. So this is one way of doing it. It's a patented technology. The other one is same way. Everything is same here, and here also same. And the only thing is after basically this will be doing the false twisting of the filament yarn. Then finally all the yarns are given the playing twist, which is in the reverse direction. So this will be giving a Z twist above, and Z and S will cancel, whereas this one will give the S twist. So binding plus twisting done in one operation. This is one pattern technology. This is another one pattern technology. So the yarn, it looks like this. They can produce different by controlling the speeds of different elements, proportion of speeds of various elements, combination of a yarn count, combination of type of fibers, combination of draft here. One can by changing the material, acrylic, woolen, worsted, filament yarn, color, you will be able to get different effect. Usually each machine can produce here a number of structures. Not you can't buy machines investing millions of rupees and try to produce only one structure. There should be some variable, right? You will be able to control the speed, draft, everything. Then only you'll be able to produce a range of fancy effect. Because fancy market, is keep on changing. It is dynamic. You can today it is now the one which is not like a circle, maybe fancy. After some time, people say it's already they have seen. Then you want to give different effect. They may like it. So it's keep on changing. So this is the process described. Woolen, the effect yarn is fed nearly 120 to 150% overfeed. Ground yarn is worsted yarn. They're played in the S direction. Then they're reverse twisted with the another filament yarn, which is binder. Now coming to the loop yarn. So before loop yarn, we'll just see how the loop yarn looks like. So here also there are three components, core component. So one is the core, the white one is the core yarn, and this is the binder yarn, and this is the effect yarn. Effect yarn is forming a perfect loop. So from here you can understand, okay, we need to lock the structure, the loop structure, by using the binder yarn. So how to form the loop? It is apparent that the effect yarn or loop yarn are fed at very high rate compared to the speed at which you are delivering the core yarn. And how to form the loop? First thing is, you have to feed excess. Then how to get the stiffness? So there comes the process. So is a three component yarn, as you understood from the figure. So the ground, yarn may be 1 or 2. Okay, it is a fine twisted yarn, S twisted yarn, low twist. So the ground yarn, core yarn is fine yarn, number 1. Number 2, it is a S twisted. Number 3, it is low twisted. Number 4, it is a fed at lower rate. Now loop yarn. This is a coarser Z twisted yarn. The twist in the loop yarn is much is opposite to that of the core yarn. When the core yarn is having S twist, this will be Z twist. And core yarn has to be finer and the effect yarn has to be coarser. If the effect yarn is not coarser, it may not have the rigidity. Only by having a coarse yarn, you will be able to get a rigid loop. Otherwise, loop may collapse. So what are the loop you are forming? The loop has to be stable. To make the loop stable means you have to use the loop yarn as a coarse yarn. Then only it will be able to maintain the loop shape. So the underlying principle is that loop yarn has to be coarser. Okay, and to form the loop, it have to be fed at higher overfeed, 150 to 300% overfeed. And there is one binder filament yarn. So all are plate twisted in the S direction. Remember, the directions are important. This is S and this Z and S. So when you play in the S direction, some amount of twist is lost, but because what happened, the twist may not that flow to the loop region. Okay, it is very the torsional, because of the torsional rigidity, the loop, the reduction of twist may not that flow to the loop because they are very heavy, and it's curved. Everywhere it is curved one. So the loss of twist in the coarser yarn, it may not be that much, in spite of giving a opposite to S to the Z. Whereas what happened, the finer yarn is already in the core, which is S twisted. Again, you are giving the S twisted. So we will try to make little contraction. Okay, and to that extent, it creates a structural stability. Okay, so fundamental principle here is the loop component should be coarser For that, it has to be, if it is coarser, then it will be stiff. Low twist means where it's coming. If it is very high twist, what happens? The feel may not be good. If it is high twisted, and only the this portion is going to touch the skin. Imagine if it is highly twisted, the will not be a soft feel. So this is a loop yarn. So loop yarn, remember the loop yarn should be coarser and is a light twisted, and the core yarn is finer. And when you do the plying, the plied twist and the core yarn twist will be same, whereas the plied twist will be opposite to the loop yarn twist in the single stage. Of course, then you have to bind with the binder yarn, which are fed at a lower rate, so that it will bind. And now we will go to the same principle, but you will get this effect. Instead of forming a loop here, in the case of loop yarn, when the excess length is accumulated as a big arc or loop, here what happened? They try to form snell. To get a snell, what you have to do? The loop yarn, the effect yarn has to be finer. Effect yarn has to be finer, number one. Effect yarn should have higher twist. Whereas in the case of loop yarn, the effect yarn was coarser and low twist. By changing simply the effect yarn from coarser to finer and from lower twist to higher twist, you are able to get the snell effect instead of loop effect. So that is the fundamental difference between the loop yarn and snell yarn. So this is also 3 common yarn. So ground yarn, maybe again 1 or 2 yarn, you can use it. And S twisted, low twist, fed at lower rate. I mean, the effect yarn, it is a highly twisted. It may be cotton, synthetics, a number of combinations you can use. They are fed at higher rate. Then you have the binder yarn. So all are play twisted in S direction. So here also you try to reduce the twist, but what happened before while the single yarn formation is taking place, itself is already formed snells. All the excess yarn, they try to form snells periodically. So when you try to give a reverse twist also, okay, that reverse twist may be helpful in removing the twist on the snell and the effect yarn only in between the snell portion. So in between the snell portion only, the twist in the original twist in the effect yarn is a little bit removed, but here the effect will not be much. They already formed snells, and the twist reduction will be only in the main body of the yarn, not in the snell portion of the yarn. So the loop yarn, snell yarn, the process is same. The only thing in the snell yarn, you have the effect yarn is having high twist, and preferably you take a finer yarn, so that you can use the both effect. Fine yarn with high twist, they can have can be easily the kind of torsion energy involved is very high, so they can make the yarn in snell configuration with less much energy. Another thing is the knop yarn. So here what happened now, the core yarn is fed by the feed rollers, and it is fed at a lower rate, and there is some sort of specialized arrangement, oscillating bar, so that will be oscillating, so that the effect yarn which is fed at higher rate, they will join not at the front roller, they join below the oscillating bar. As the oscillating bar is moving, the point at which the effect yarn is joining to the core yarn that will be keep on moving up and down. So that will give some sort of effect. So they are fed at a very high production rate. So you can see, you can feed another, the next operation you take this yarn and do the playing with a binder yarn so that you can bind it. So you can see, by seeing the this portion knob, okay, what happens? Suddenly, you have large mass of material is fed at a particular time. So what happened? This speed is, can be very programmed. So very high production, at some time. So sending more material, and the bunch of material will be joining. Then afterwards, what happened? The effect yarn is fed at low rate. You don't get this, bulging one. So you can vary the frequency at which you are making the knob, the amplitude of the knob, the mass of the knob, everything you can change by changing the speed of the effect yarn and its duration. For particular duration, what happens is the more material is delivered, very high speed of the effect yarn. Then it comes to normal speed. And finally, you are locking with the binder yarn. This is also one of the derivative of the knob, where you can stop the effect, you can start. Effect yarn can be fed at lower speed, higher speed, variable speed, zero speed. Okay, you can do in a controlled rate. Okay, so you have a bunch, but uniform. Okay, a type of celeb effect is there, but that celeb also very uniform. And finally, everything is you can use different colors, different materials. So all permutation combination you can employ. So this also produced in a regular ring frame. In our department also we have a system. So what happened now? This one yarn is fed at normal rate. Another set of rowing, which is drafted, and they deliver like a pulses. The delivery of the material are done like pulses. So suddenly you deliver more material. So then you deliver normal materials. So you can create a periodic randomly by varying the speeds of the roller, which are feeding this material, the slab materials. So this is possible in a ring spinning machine also by having a slab attachment. Another is a chenille yarn. This some of you must have seen in your home, like mat, floor mat, even used in the bathroom. So what they do is they take a regular warp yarn. So this is warp yarn, and in the handloom, what they do is they put the webbed. Webbed is not a yarn; it's basically a rowing, heavy rowings. So webbed is rowing, and warp is yarn. So they make a fabric, then cut the fabrics parallel to the warp. Cut the fabric parallel to the warp, and that is your yarn. So there is a warp yarn, and webbed yarn is basically 90-degree mein you are feeding a rowing, a loose material. So it is a fabric, and if you cut it, slit it, you will get the chenille yarn. So from fabric you are getting the yarn. So there is one company has patented directly produces chenille yarn by their machines. It's I don't know much about this one. They feed some core yarns, and the effect yarns, they are fed from 4 spools, okay, and somehow they're able to make it in the horizontal directions. Some mechanism they're controlling, gripping the this yarn in the horizontal directions. So it comes like a ribbon. Then there is a knife will be there. It will be cutting. So at one stroke you can make 2 chenille yarn by one one feeding में, you will get 2 general yarn. So this is a patented process. Much detail is not available. Now coming to the fancy yarn production, which we can do ourselves in ring spinning is multi-twist, multi-count slab yarn. So already slab yarn I already mentioned, okay. Another variant is the multi-twist, multi-count. So what is multi-twist yarn? As you know, the twist varies along the yarn. Normal yarn what we produce ring spinning is the twist is constant along the yarn length. If you have 20 TPI, then it has to be 20 TPI everywhere. So that is a regular yarn. So in this case, what happened? The twist varies along the yarn length. So how do you vary the twist? When you see the basic principle, twist is basically spindle RPM, ring spindle RPM, divided by front drop roller RPM. So the spindle speed is constant and front roller RPM is changed. So by using the servo motors for the drafting rollers and program the servo motors, the speed of the servo motor, so the drafting rollers speeds can be varied by any program, randomly or periodically. So you can do many things. The only thing is servo motor is controlled. Speed is controlled by different set of programs. So you can have a number of fancy effects by changing the RPM of the motors, the duration. Okay, one can vary the twist, periodically varying or or the way you like you vary, that is possible. So the only thing is the drafting roller has to be driven by the individual servo motors. Front drafting roller, back drafting rollers, the middle drafting rollers, they are all run independently by the servo motors. So in that case, what happens? You can change the draft, you can change everything you can change. And similarly, multi-count yarn. So the yarn count changes along the length. Suppose you want to produce 40 yarn, it has to be 40 yarn. If you sell in the market and if it is 39.5 to 40.5, the buyer will accept it. If you say 40 yarn and you test, if you found out the yarn count changes from 39.5 to 40.5, he'll accept it. Anything beyond that, he will not accept. The yarn is rejected. But here it is a fancy yarn. You try to produce different counts along the yarn length. So here what they do is the main draft is varied in a pattern by changing the speed of the drafting rollers. So the back roller and middle roller will be running at a particular ratio of speeds so that the brake draft is controlled. You have to have a particular brake draft. If it is 1.4, 1.4. So the ratio of the brake draft roller, the speed of the brake draft roller, middle draft roller has to be fixed. Okay, and then main draft can be changed by changing the speed of the front drafting roller, or by changing the speed of the middle drafting roller. But in proportion, back drafting roller is also changed, so that the brake draft is constant. So by changing the main draft, you can change the the yarn count. The yarn will count. So the same rowing, the yarn count will be changed by changing the main draft. So by having the same spindle RPM, what happens? You can change the yarn count along the length of the yarn. Another thing is the fancy and slab yarns. The slab is injected. The slab injection device can be used, so which will be periodically or a programmed pattern, which will inject the slab, and the yarn is being made. So another regular yarn you can make. For example, you can use two set of fibers, both colored, different color fiber. Or one is gray, another is white, one is black, another is red. All combinations you can use. But the thing is, main fundamental principle here is the fiber length. The two fibers you are using, they are different in length. What happens when you use different fibers in the drafting? This is against the fundamentals of drafting. Okay. Now what happened? You have to set the drafting rollers. Suppose one fiber is 40 mm, another fiber is 30 mm. Naturally, you'll be setting the drafting roller distance, no, will be around 40 mm. So the fiber which is 30 mm fiber, they behave like a short fibers. So they move uncontrolled. So they result in irregular appearance. So some bunching of short fibers, followed by thinner region of short fibers, then again bunching of short fibers, all will be there. So by wearing the colors of these one and type of fiber, polyester, viscose, all combinations, you can bring many effect. And in drop spinning also one can do. So what they do is the ground and effect yarn, they pass it along the nip of the drum. So you have the two drums, they rotate in the same direction. So the ground yarn, effect yarn, they are passed along the axis, axis of the drum. So the ground is, while feeding the the ground has to be kept under tension so that you want to keep the ground on the core. And the effect yarn may be a selvage waste from the weaving. Okay, so that is fed, and the locking is done by the fibers drafted from the opening roller. So that will be fed perpendicular to the roller. So this is a drop spinning tree. That is a core effect spinning. Another nepi yarn through carding, and here what you do is the polyester fibers which are not properly opened by the blow room, and collect the polyester tuftlets. What happened now is earlier 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 fibers will be there, which is not properly opened. And these tuftlets you collect, and these tuftlets you can make in different colors. That means polyester fibers, you can make a different polyester fiber with different colors, and use inappropriate setting in the blow room, and try to get the tuftlets from the blow room which are not properly open, and the tuftlets are different in size and different openness, and that is the starting point of your raw material. So what they do is these polyester tuftlets, they just directly pass on to the cylinder of the carding machine. So what happened? The output of the card slaver will have a lot of neps, that is fiber rolled into a ball. So the polyester fibers which are coming in bunch, and the cylinder flats not able to do their job properly because there is a bunch of fibers with a haphazard configuration, and they're not able to open up, and they get trapped, and when they are keep on top by the flats and cylinder, they get rolled into a nep form like a ball, and finally somehow these things will come out from the cylinder to the doffer, and it is collected. So the very fundamental thing is you need to have a very old card with damaged wires. That is the ideal one. So I know that Trident company, so when they discard the old machine, so they took all the old machines and they created one more plant where they put all the old machines into another plant. They purposefully make the fancy yarns. So they try to create by changing type of fibers, colors, fiber length, and amount, how much amount you are feeding it, and by changing the processing parameters of card, they're able to get different effect, and they give different name: evening wear, snow wear, some people say snake wear, mamba something, black mamba something. So they give a very funny name. Okay. So normally we want a car which should be very new and should be well maintained. Wires should be well maintained. We need a blow room which is well maintained and state of the art. But here we need opposite. We need a very bad machine to make the nepi yarn. So when you get this flavor, which has a lot of NEPs, normally we don't accept this quality, but here that is the one preferable. So the flavor which is coming out of the card, which has a lot of NEPs. The NEPs will be very stiff because it is a polished fiber. And this one, they mix it manually with the regular cotton fiber. And from there, they start processing through regular operations. So this flavor, which has polished flavor, which has a lot of NEPs collected and mixed with the cotton fibers, then again it passed through the blue room and card, then drying, rowing, then ring spinning. And finally, the yarn will have a lot of NEPs with different colors. If you use different colors, you have NEPs of different colors. So these are some of the photographs which I have taken from the internet. You can see the buckle yarn image, buckle yarn fabric, chenille yarn fabric, gimp yarn fabric. This is knop yarn fabric. You can see the knops they're not very regular, okay? The distance between one knop and another knop, they're not constant. And knop also fed with the different color materials. So you have blue color and different colors. Background you have different colors. This is a slub yarn. By controlling the rate at which you see this, they keep on increasing the mass. You see the slab is increasing. This is regular, no slab, and suddenly slab. So you can create a pattern. The moment you have the servo motors, you can control. You see here the slab is very too big. It almost look like a slaver. This is a little hard one, red one. This is a loose one. So the depends on the twist level also. Is loop yarn, spiral fancy yarn. You see the coarser woolen yarn, soft, and it is compressed by the cotton yarn. Maybe not necessarily cotton. You can use the other yarn also. So once you have this effect, now you can change the raw material. Raw material may be different fibers. This is a Snell effect yarn. So with this, I'll wind up. We'll see in the next class.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, actually, in the last quiz, the Moodle stopped for at least 2 minutes, so we only had 2 minutes time to answer 6 questions, and that's
I received feedback from many students, and also I received emails. Okay, so we will either cancel the that quiz, or we'll do some moderation, right?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, I have to go through the how many students done and what is the problem. Let me check. Okay, and I will take appropriate decision, either cancelling the. Okay, let us see. Okay, I'll take good number of students are done well. Okay, see when good number of students have done well, then I can give some moderation to other students, right? Right? It's not possible. Let's see, we don't have much time. See, in a day, I'll have at least 1 or 2 meetings. Okay. There are too many things. Okay, too many quiz cannot be conducted. Okay, all the best.